Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here with me today. I am the Proud Millennial and today we're going to be talking about how to find an apartment for a low price. And some of these tips are kind of LA centric, but also they can be applied in other places, even across the country. So I'm going to talk about 3 instances where I got inexpensive apartments and how I got them. So the 3 ways I think that I've been able to find inexpensive apartments have been by looking in places where maybe most aren't looking, by taking some risks, and also just by getting to know people and keeping them informed that you're looking. Before we continue though, I would love if you just click the subscribe button below, leave me some questions. If you have any other tips, I would love to hear them. I will start by talking about my first apartment. In 2017, I moved out of my parents' place after a year of living back home. So I decided to move back to the town where I went to school, which is Northridge, and it's a little bit north of like central LA. First places I looked were always like the apps like Zillow and Hotpad. I don't remember, there's a lot of them. And also just like Craigslist and stuff, but I was finding nothing in my range. I was kind of like getting a little bit disheartened that I hadn't found anything. But then I started looking at our university's like groups on Facebook. There was like different ones like buy books, buy furniture, or like there were some like rental ones, but they were like all filled with spam and stuff like that. In all this, like, always keep in mind there are scammers out there that will try to get you to give them your social security number and all your like data. Just keep that in mind. Like, if you see any red flags, like, just trust that, you know, those red flags are there for a reason. This process should not be like sketchy at all. Most people are pretty good about like communicating if they're trying to find someone to fill their apartment, and so trust yourself. Take some precautions, because the ways that I'm telling you maybe removes some of those like safety nets, but will save you some money. So yeah, I was looking through the one of the Facebook pages, and I don't even think it was an apartment one. I think it was like selling books. And I would like search in the group apartment or studio or 1 bedroom or something like that. And within that time, one of the times I saw this post that had been there for a while too, was this guy looking for someone to take over my lease. The price was just right, and it was a 1 bedroom, there was enough space, there were no pictures, so I was like, hey man, I'll be in Northridge, when can I stop by to see the apartment? He said, I will be there. And it was kind of the situation where he had to move back home. It was December or January, so people weren't even looking for apartments at that time. People had already settled in for the semester. And so I went over and I was like, wow, this is a big space. It was a living area, dining area, kitchen, bathroom, this whole room. And maybe I'll post some pictures right now just so you can see. Like, I loved this place. This was my first place. I used to work from home. I had this little shop set up in my living area. What he told me was like, all you need to do is apply for the apartment and see if you get like approved, let me know, and then we can do some transactions, because I had to give him back his deposit like directly, but I wanted to make sure everything was okay and retro pay some of the rent, because I was moving in the middle of the month and I was gonna just give him back that money. I think this was one of the ways that I left an impression on my manager, was through my application. I bought like this really nice, or maybe just had an extra really nice folder where I put all of my application material. So I put my application, I put the $20 in a little nice envelope. I put my income. At the time, I hadn't even done my taxes. Like, it was 1 year out of college. I hadn't even kept track of everything, even in my business, which was one of the downfalls of my business. I just hadn't kept track of everything. I just kept track of all the orders. So what I did is I took a report of all that I've sold and put it in there. I also put in there some pay stubs from when I was substitute teaching. And the other thing, just to verify my income, I printed out my latest statement, which was great because at the time it was January. I had just gone through November and December, which were great months for me in my shop. I had sold so much, so I had way more income in there showing in my bank than usual, but hey, it really got me in there. The manager called me the next day and was like, hey, you had such a great application. You are approved. Let me know how I can help. Like, the next step is making sure he gets his deposit back and pay him the rent. Like, you come to the agreement with him. So I had to do all my transactions through him, and then I would sign the lease and I would take over the lease, basically. Also, let me say that during the 6 months before, I had been working on my credit. That whole year, actually, I had been working on my credit, building my credit. I had just bought a car. Yeah, but I had actually worked up my credit to where it was in a good place. I came to the time and I texted the guy, was calling him and texting him like I got approved. Turned out, like, the manager told me this afterwards, that he had found someone online as well. It was a girl that he probably thought was cute or something, because he really wanted to get this girl into this apartment. But the manager was like, she doesn't even have like a social security number, she doesn't have any credit, she has like a dog, we can't even have dogs. Like, she was so pissed at him, and she was like, no, this apartment is his. She made him give me the apartment, basically. So that was great. And I lived there for like almost a year. And yeah, I paid $1,025 for a 1-bedroom, which at the time was like unheard of. I was looking for a studio for like $1,100 or $1,200. I did have to move out about a year later. I closed my shop, pursued more of my career path. I went back to school, so I couldn't really pay everything. I couldn't pay that and like all the utilities and everything on my own. So, and also I was just stressing out all the time. So I just like decided, hey, I'm gonna move in with a roommate. So I had texted the manager one day, and she was like, you know, we have a 2-bedroom opening up, and that person, one of the people in the 2-bedroom wants a 1-bedroom. So we just made a switch. I paid $1,400 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So we split that in half. It was about $700. And that was so good. That was so cheap. It was great. And that's my second point. You have to get to know people, especially your manager. She will hook it up. Like, she or he will hook it up. They know what's up in the apartment complex. So if you want a bigger place, they're able to let you know when something opens up. And technically, I took over that lease as well. So it was me looking in weird places and also for the first one, and then also just networking with the people that I needed to. And it wasn't like I tried to network with her because I wanted this apartment. It was literally like me just being a nice person, keeping up with her. I know she had been sick a couple times, so I would just ask her like, hi, hey, what's up? Are you good? Like, if you need any help. So now came the time where I had to move from Northridge. So I started working here in Central LA area, and I just couldn't do the commute anymore. And also, since I am doing a lot of like performing arts administration, one of the things one of my mentors let me know was you need to be attending performances all the time. Once a week you need to go to a performance, which I haven't been doing, but I need to get back at it. So I moved close to my work, and also I ended up getting such a great place. I am so happy. How I found this place. So I had already started planning. I started planning in like January. Mind you, I had just moved into my other apartment in like September, and I was already in January was like, hey, I told my roommate, I was like, hey, my plan is to move out of here in the summer. So start finding someone, and this wasn't hard for him to do. Start finding someone that is interested in taking over my room or your room or whatever. So we kind of had a plan. I knew that our lease was going to be over around August or July, and it wasn't going to be hard to have someone take over my lease at that price. So that was set. We knew we would find someone to take over my lease. Then I had to just find an apartment. So I started looking in like literally May. I would spend some time, and my friends make fun of me for this, I would spend time in class just like looking for an apartment, literally checking every single day. And had started saving. That's another thing I had to do. I started saving a portion of my check to be able to put for a deposit. So I was doing really well. I was prepared with the deposit. I had kept up with my credit, and I started looking every single day. I was still looking at Zillow, I was still looking at HotPads, I was still looking at all those apps, and apartments.com and stuff. And those apps are really geared for those companies that have an account and they just like input the information, put it out there, have an application on there, have set up like an open house and shit like that. And so that's great and all. Like, if you need that, if you need the structure of, I need to find a listing, I need to go open house, then apply, then approve, then sign. Like, if that's the course you need to take, if that's the kind of person you are, then that's totally cool. Go with Zillow, go with apartments.com. There's other ones, like you could do some more research. I'm sure you'll find them because they'll pop up on Google, like at the top. So if that's what you need, go ahead. But here's what I'm telling you to do to save money if this is what you're interested in. So what I did for this one was I was checking Craigslist. I was looking literally every day, and I would look in every area. I had been even driving around areas just to take numbers down, and I was calling them like, hey, do you have any vacancies? But I kept on checking on Craigslist. I would put my range of, I didn't leave the minimum blank. I would always put like 800, 700, although I wasn't expecting to find something that way. I wasn't trying to get all those scammers that put like $1 or $5, whatever. And then I put my maximum, and I kept on working on that maximum a lot. So I kept on like doing varied maximums. One day I was looking, and then this listing popped up, and it said 1,050, and it was in this area, Echo Park area, that I loved. And I was like, this has to be a scam. This has to be a scam. So there was no pictures on it. It was very like weirdly worded. It was the simplest Craigslist posting, and I think maybe the person that ran it was just like, whatever, I'll find someone. I mean, at that low price, she was bound to find someone. I literally saw it an hour after she posted, and I replied. I texted her, called her, and she was like, okay, you can come see today. And I was like, okay, what time? She didn't respond. I was like, I have the address. I'm gonna go. And I went to go see it. I pull up, and I was like, oh, and it was street cleaning. I was like, this is gonna be horrible. So I thought like the parking was horrible, but then I started reading the signs, it was okay. And I walk up, and there was just like people. The place looked bare, just an old apartment, bare, nothing. There was no flooring. The walls are weird. The flooring wasn't even laid out. I can't really see, but I'll look through the windows, and the guy was like, yeah, you can't walk in here because the tile's drying. And I was like, okay, peeking through the windows, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna apply. And I applied that second. I filled out everything, sent it in. She called me, and she was like, you're approved. You got the apartment. Okay, I still haven't seen the apartment really, how it's gonna look, but I just took a leap of faith. And at the same time, I was applying for other ones, which I got approved, but it was a weird situation over there, and I don't really have to talk about that one. But yeah, so I found this apartment through Craigslist and really talked to the person and made sure that this was not a scam. And I got why they didn't have pictures, because there's really no pictures to take yet, and they just wanted someone in here quick. Let me tell you that when I was looking, 1,050 would have got me like a junior studio, which has like a kitchenette, and I was shocked that I even got this. This is, to this day, I'm still like shocked. It was actually 1,150. It was 1,150, yes. A few months later, maybe like 6 months later, I kept on looking, just because there was a house back in the back that like opened up. They never posted about it. But there was another unit that opened up here that was already at $1,500. I got really lucky that I got this apartment at this price. I think it's about looking in places where people won't look and kind of taking a little bit of a risk, because I could have totally been like, that is a scam. I'm not calling this. It was a weird name on there, weird number, and like, but I did, and I didn't give my information until I was sure that this wasn't a scam. Like, I Googled like the address, who owned it, and it turned out to be the same person that was listing. And then I Googled the address and Googled even the email address, like Google it all. Then you will know that this is not a scam, and then you're able to apply. Thank you again for watching. This is my response to some questions I got even in my DMs. I'm glad that you're asking these questions. That helps me create content and really come up with content that you need. Before we leave, again, please subscribe, like this video, and leave some comments. Also follow me on my social media. And if you didn't watch my apartment tour, you can watch it. The link should be somewhere here at some point. Thank you.